deck. ATL shouty, you know what it is. I just wanted to, I got some shit to take care of, so I wanted to get on here and talk about the Mike Tyson situation. So Mike Tyson came out recently, and shout out to all the WCS supporters and those who, rock with me, continue to support the channel. I appreciate you. So, Mike Tyson, we already know about his past. We already know what people think about him. A lot of people treat him as a boxing god, so to speak, regardless of what he's did, right? And we all know that Mike Tyson has to basically, soothe his mental process. I don't want to use that M word, medicate, but he has to soothe his process to cope in life in certain situations, right? But he's like, people don't check Mike Tyson on a lot of shit that he do. They just let him slide. They let Mike Tyson slide on him being very critical of black fighters a lot. Like, of anybody who had that opportunity to be a motherfucking, I'm talking about a conqueror, an individual who had the natural gifted ability to be different than anybody we ever seen. That was Mike Tyson. He was that dude. But even him, he couldn't control what the fuck he wanted to do in life. He had a lot of demons that he was dealing with, that he was sparring with every day. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at, him as a person. I respect him as far as his hot box and what he do for media and shit like that, right? But you rarely see people checking Mike Tyson on some of the shit he be saying. Real talk. Like, Mike Tyson said that Jamal Charlo is just basically too small and too weak to fuck with Canelo Alvarez. Now, I'm not up here disagreeing with what Mike said in this particular situation. I don't think Canelo's too weak to face, Jamal Charlo's too weak to face Canelo Alvarez. But then again, I do believe if Canelo put the pressure on Jamal Charlo, if he was to step up to that weight, it would be a huge test for Jamal Charlo. Real talk. I'm not saying Jamal Charlo shouldn't step up to the plate and take a risk, but if I would have said some shit like that Jamal Charlo is too small, too weak to step up there and face Canelo at 68, then motherfuckers would have been in my inbox crying and shit. Motherfuckers would have been blowing snot bubbles. You dogging out black fighters. Why are you doing that shit? Why? We just got out of February. It's Black History Month. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't hear motherfuckers checking Mike Tyson on the shit he be saying about black fighters. For real. Mike Tyson be saying some shit. Nobody be checking his ass. They just let that shit slide off their shoulder like they never even heard it. Now, I would say this, right? I'm gonna be honest with you. I want Jamal Charlo to step up to face Canelo. Like, he don't have to face David Benavidez. He's a champion. He doesn't have to face David Benavidez. He can go straight up to 68 and get a title shot. He don't have to stand in line. He doesn't have to. But underscore, when it comes down to Benavidez never losing his title, what's going on? Heyman's World, what's good? Crawford, the biggest fraud in boxing. Dang, they going in on Crawford. Shit. Let me see what y'all talking about. And by the way, I disagree with that. Crawford is not the biggest fraud in boxing. And it would be good if YouTube forced individuals. Michael Lewis in the building, what's good? It'd be good if YouTube forced motherfuckers to goddamn validate their shit instead of coming on here just making up comments. But back to Mike Tyson though. It's a lot of shit that Tyson say that people won't even goddamn question. They won't even question him on, right? They won't even say, Mike, why you ain't giving them a chance? You know what I'm saying? What's going on with you? Why you be so critical of black fighters? You know, what's going on with that? Why are you so mad and angry? Man, the women out. I ain't gonna lie. The women out. But anyway, you know, I'm looking at Mike Tyson, you know, why he be hot boxing. And I do this for any dude that smoke all the time. I don't know exactly what Mike Tyson is smoking, but if you're gonna say Jamal Charlo is this, that, and the other, and him moving up, and you don't believe he can move up to super middleweight, then tell us how he could be successful in moving up. Just don't say, you know, he's basically too small, too weak. You know, tell us, give us some cons, some pros and cons on what he need to do if he chooses to move up. I put it to you like this: you got to take a motherfucking risk. Who gives a fuck? Look, you got to have the Virgil Ortiz. You got to have that mentality, goddammit. I'm going to call it the way I see it. You got to have a Virgil Ortiz type of mentality as of recent. You got to say, I don't give a fuck if I'm ready or not. Now, whether Virgil Ortiz get the fight with Crawford or not, okay, we don't know. But you got to have that mentality, bro. And I've said it about my people that's in the sport competing. You got to take more risks and stop worrying about the old, goddammit. You got to make yourself known. You got to change levels. You got to provide another avenue for people to respect you. That's called courage, man. When combat sports enthusiasts respect you for a different reason. That shit happens in mixed martial arts all the time. They look at what you've done in the sport. They look at who you fought. You might have suffered some losses, but they say, damn, so-and-so fought this. They fought that person. But in boxing, it's almost like motherfuckers be goddamn thinking it's the end of the world and the career is done, retire, or one fucking loss. It's just disgraceful. That's why boxing fans need to wake up. Like, if you call yourself a legitimate hardcore boxing fan, you need to wake the fuck up and stop saying people need to retire from one loss. You sound absolutely absurd, preposterous in many ways. You sound absolutely stupid, like you naive about combat sports in general. It's gonna be some individuals up here that have tough fights. You know what I'm saying? That's without saying you're gonna have tough fights. But the energy is quite different than mixed martial arts fans, because they have fighters they support that has several losses, even double-digit losses. But you see them when they see them, they respect them. Even some cats that have double-digit losses are called legends of the sport because of who they fought on their resume. You know what I'm saying? That happens in mixed martial arts. But in boxing, I'm up here hearing niggas just be stupid. Like one fucking loss, one loss. Just like J-Rock said, stop riding off a fighter just because they have one loss. Like their career is over. It's fucked up. I would rather Mike Tyson give the young lion a word of advice instead of just spitting venom, you know what I'm saying? I would rather him do that. Because he's been catering to a lot of fighters outside of black. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the fuck is going on, but nobody's checking Mike Tyson on his shit. Nobody. There's some people that might say something here and there, but I'm like, goddamn. So anyway, it's all good. I hope Jamal Charlo step up to 168 and make some shit happen. Let me get some of these comments, man. He didn't do the political correct way, but he wasn't lying. Y'all talking just to talk, but is it? What you mean y'all talking just to be talking? He just won't fight Errol because he still sees that he's injured and not 100% cowardly lying. Well, you know, I seem to have Crawford opposition hasn't been the greatest, but calling the undefeated 3-division champ fraud make you sound crazy. Look, if you pick Wednesday, right? For those of you that's tuned in, appreciate you. If you pick Wednesday, hump day, to start smoking crack, then goddamn it, I can't salute you on some bullshit like that. Y'all sitting up here dogging out Crawford. Y'all got y'all pom-poms and shit dogging out Crawford. But Crawford ain't never put himself in a position that was self-inflicted, that could hinder his career. Crawford is one of those individuals who's a 3-division champion, and we all know he cleaned up 140, right? It don't matter how the fuck he did it. Then furthermore, he's always with his family. That should never be frowned upon. That should never be frowned upon. He's always with his wife, his girl, and he's always with his kids. That should never be frowned upon. So to say Terrence Crawford, who came up to the welterweight division and has nothing but stoppages, like Country Wayne say, let that sizzle in your spirit. Let that sizzle in your spirit. Motherfucker has knocked out or stopped every opponent since moving up the welterweight. But y'all praise Mikey Garcia for moving up from 135 to 147 because he saw something. Did he have my shades on? Did he have my shades on? Matter of fact, let me change. Did he have my focal? Did he have my glasses on? I'm just curious. What the fuck did Mikey Garcia see? Y'all wasn't up here being critical of Mikey Garcia. But anyway, I gotta get back to Mike Tyson. So Mike Tyson was saying that he ain't fucking with Triller no more. Okay, listen, y'all. Mike Tyson can say what he want for this upcoming fight. The man is spastic, cause my dog, Evander Real Deal Holyfield, out this ATA, born in Alabama. You know, man, you know, we got a lot of love for Evander Holyfield down here in the A. You know what I'm saying? When he was on and up, you know, he was repping this Southern boxing stronghold the way it's supposed to, right? I know Mike Tyson is feeling some type of way about accepting this $25 million deal, because Evander put that on your ass. You know what I'm saying? He goddamn had them apes on your back. You should feel some type of way, Mike. We repping Evander Holyfield down here, even at his age right now. We still pulling for Evander Holyfield to get in your ass when you goddamn step in the ring. So of course, they was making a big deal about it, because look, Mike Tyson through it all, through all the smoke, the frog, all the shit he's goddamn inhaling, he still have nightmares about Evander Holyfield. He still have nightmares. This nigga had the goddamn bite of Evander Holyfield in both of his ears to attempt to think he was gonna walk up out of there the winner. And Mike Tyson says it's because Evander Holyfield was headbutting. Sounds like a personal problem to me, Mike. And it's all due respect, bro. It's all due respect, Mike. I respect how you move in the streets. I seen you in the streets. You don't have no security detail. You know, I respect you. But down here in this South, we repping Evander Holyfield, the real deal, you know? That's what it's about. So if indeed Evander Holyfield say he's gonna accept this $25 million, man, you better goddamn accept that shit. I mean, I know you got a weed farm and everything over there, and you're doing pretty good, but you better accept this. You were so quick to step in there with Roy Jones. Don't sit up here and start tripping on your toughest fight. You know, Evander Holyfield, even right now, his age, he might give you that business. He will give you that business, for real. And then furthermore, he said he ain't doing no damn deal. He ain't working with Triller no more. Well, I have to, you know, do a little bit of research. And Mike Tyson, being Mike Tyson, he has this League of Legends that's going on, right? And Triller still have points on Mike Tyson. So they're going to be involved in Mike Tyson's fights all the way up to what I believe is 2023, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know what Mike is talking about, y'all. You know, he's talking about he ain't doing no more business with Triller. Look, it's some shit I know that I really can't talk about that happened between a big time fighter and Triller, which I can't announce because I'm trying to get some shit popping for next month. But that may be the same reason Mike may be angry, right? But at the end of the day, you know, Mike was pushing Triller real hard. And for what I know, Triller has points on Mike. They're gonna get a percentage, and they have some type of influence in his next fights all the way up to a couple of years from now. So just dead that shit. I'm just want to let y'all know, just dead that. He ain't going nowhere. He might fight somewhere else, but Triller's still gonna have some say so in Mike Tyson. Back to Terrence Crawford haters. All you Terrence Crawford haters is on this damn live chat. You on the motherfucking tarmac. Make sure you show up and land your motherfucking ass back over here if this fight ever happened. Because listen, it's been proven that Errol Spence had a lack of discipline. He was a drinker. He was out here partying instead of taking his career all the way serious. You never seen Terrence Crawford in freaking public, period, intoxicated. Never. So when do we get to a point when we frowning on Terrence Crawford for doing what he's supposed to? Like, we frowning on Terrence Crawford for being a family man and being a husband and shit, right? But you want to praise the guy who went out here and had an accident after the biggest fight of his career. You want to praise the guy who was in a video in the parking lot fucked up. You want to praise a guy like Errol Spence who was on deck with all his boys and he was fucked up before he even had the accident. So it was signs. And then not to mention, oh boy, Mayweather's previous bag holder, he said that shit a long time ago, that Errol Spence was out here drinking. He said it a long time ago and people thought he was hating. What's going on, Mitch? Mitch said, I got Spence beating Crawford, but motherfuckers be talking crazy like Crawford sweet out here. Crawford sweet out here, especially after he spoke about Canelo avoiding Charlo. Look, salute to everybody that's in here. If y'all want to talk about Crawford and him saying what he said about Canelo, that just goes to show you how people so quick to jump on a motherfucking bandwagon, you know, full pledge. They jump on that motherfucker and they don't even know where it's going. They just know that it's a guy that was on that bitch driving it. It looked like Canelo. You know what I'm saying? And I don't have no problem with Canelo. I'm just saying that it's a fact that he had problems with certain black fighters that he fought. He had problems. That's fact. You can't sit up here and call Erislandy Lara a brother, though. I'm just saying, like, I know, but he's, you know, Erislandy Lara is Erislandy Lara, man. We all know where he's from. But Canelo has had problems with certain black fighters in his boxing career. So what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with saying that he had a problem. There's nothing wrong with admitting the fact that the man had a problem. He had difficulties. The fights was tough. There's nothing wrong with that shit. I don't know why people always want to think about, since somebody on top, let me go up here and protect them by all means necessary. But if Crawford was in Canelo's position, then what would the damn narrative be? I want all the Terrence Crawford haters that's on the live to be sure that you stop back over here if this fight is made, because it's going to be easier than you think. Seriously, Terrence Crawford going to outbox the shit out Errol Spence. Errol Spence, you have to look at the nature of the situation with fighters maintaining salubrity during their career. Look, let me break something down to you. It's hard for a fighter to remain dry in their career. Dry means no alcohol. That means you're staying true to your game. Your nutrition's on point. You're hydrating correctly, and you stand away from substances that's considered abuse. To a professional athlete, right? It's tough, but Errol Spence has been known to violate that to the point where it hindered or harmed him in his boxing career and his personal life. So when you look at it that way, how can we sit up here and dog Crawford out, who's never had a situation like that in public, nor has he showed any signs of mental breakdown in the ring when it comes to substance abuse? None. But I think I seen more motherfuckers praising Errol Spence for coming back from a car accident than they willing to praise Bud Crawford for doing everything right in his boxing career. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got motherfuckers that's steadily trying to say they for the culture. Oh, we for the culture. We relate to Errol Spence more to the culture. So since we all about the culture, right? What does a car accident have to do with it? The man was driving intoxicated and wrecked a vehicle. Why is there so many people willing to denigrate? So many people willing to denigrate Terrence Crawford, who hasn't showed any signs of that type of behavior, that type of lack of judgment. You know what I'm saying? What the fuck are we doing? Like, are y'all boxing fans? Are y'all just, individuals that's embracing the culture? Let me ask you this question. Who on Errol Spence's resume makes him great again? Because I know some motherfuckers on here hating on Crawford from other groups that I've been in. I know you are. I know. I never got this much Crawford hate because I know where it's coming from being in a different group. I know where it's coming from. So let me ask you this. Who on Errol Spence's resume, if you're dogging out Terrence Crawford's resume, who on his resume is great? Who? Is it Sean Porter, Kell Brook, Danny Garcia? Who? Mikey Garcia? Who is great? We ain't talking about Hall of Fame. We talking about motherfucking greats. Who is great on Errol Spence's resume? How many fights did it take for him to settle into the welterweight division? He was fluctuating back and forth to the the super welterweight to welterweight, back and forth, back and forth. We're not talking about Big Dog. We're not talking about whose resume outside of Errol Spence is sorry. I'm speaking to the Crawford haters and asking who on Errol Spence's resume elevates him to this great status people talk. Are y'all delusional? It ain't personal. Are y'all delusional? Do y'all not understand reading isn't fundamental and retention is that much greater of comprehension? You can read some shit and still don't know what the fuck you're doing. Comprehension is that much greater because what you're reading, you have to comprehend. Who on Errol Spence's resume makes him great? The man is in his 30s now, right? A single division as a champion. When is he planning on doing something more? When? Is he going to drop down to 140? No, I don't think that's happening. Is he going to move up to 154? We don't know if that's going to happen at all, man. We don't know. When is he going to make that move, y'all? Sir Ken in the building. What's good? What's good? I'm just saying, reading is supposed to be fundamental, but what is retention? What is understanding the comprehension in what you're reading? Who on Errol Spence's resume makes him great, y'all? For you all to dog out Crawford. Have I not mentioned this several times over? I said in boxing, you're never going to have a full lineup of killers 1 through 10. Let's just give the top 10 because it's simulated numerically for people to always give a scale of 1 to 10. They don't say 1 to 5. They say, oh, from what I've seen, it's 1 to 10, the top 10. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. A scale, numeric scale of 1 to 10. Boxing has never had a full scale of killers in boxing in any weight class. If that was the case, it'll be, the titles would change hand much more than what we see, right? So therefore, we can have criticism on Terence Crawford's resume. We can have criticism on Errol Spence's resume. That's easy. That's easy work. We can have we can be critical on both fighters' resume. But to say that to say that Errol Spence's career far supersedes that of Terence Crawford at one division just from fighting Kell Brook in his backyard. What? Just from fighting Sean Porter. Just from fighting Sean Porter? Kell Brook, Sean Porter. Y'all niggas say goddamn Errol Spence is great. Kell Brook, the same one you just dogged out for fighting Terence Crawford, who he stopped in 4 rounds, and it took Errol Spence 11. Y'all absolutely angry, right? Y'all motherfucking angry at that shit. So come Sean Porter, right? I know Terence Crawford haven't fought Manny Pacquiao. We know Terence Crawford haven't fought Sean Porter or Keith Thurman. But we just came around to see Danny Garcia step in there and fight Errol Spence. The same Danny Garcia who also has lost to big names in the welterweight division. Now this is where it gets a little cloudy and motherfuckers are a bit acutely delusional. He comes off an accident and fights Danny Garcia, and people up there hyping this shit up. People just hyping it up, right? You're hyping up Danny Garcia as if that further elevated Errol Spence into another stratosphere of greatness. Danny Garcia. The same Danny Garcia who just not too long ago lost to Sean Porter for the vacant WBC title. He lost. He lost to Keith Thurman. He lost to Keith Thurman. He lost to Errol Spence. He lost to Sean Porter. 3 top names in the welterweight division. That's Danny Garcia. But yet when he fight Errol Spence, y'all want to put him up there like this motherfucker is undefeated. How are you gonna praise Errol Spence for having, let's just say he fought undefeated. Let's just say I want to be petty and say how many undefeated fighters he fought since as of recent. I can't throw Mikey Garcia in there because Mikey was up there for a paycheck. He was up there to be great, I guess, take risk. I can't knock Mikey Garcia for moving up from 135 to 147. Once again, I encourage more black fighters to do it. Don't look around and say, okay, why the Hispanic or Latino fighters doing it and you not doing it? Mikey Garcia went up there, he got washed, boom, out the door. 1 loss to his record. But I can't give Errol Spence that credit because Mikey never had a fight at 47. So then we flip this shit over to Crawford, who stepped in for a championship fight. Boom, got it done. Jeff Horn out the window. Every other fighter up to Kell Brook has been a stoppage. Isn't that what he's supposed to do if they're not killers? If you're saying that Errol Spence's resume sucks, right? So does, if Terence Crawford's resume sucks, Well, so does Errol Spence's resume suck. Because for somebody who's been in the welterweight division as long as he has, why all of a sudden he just now selling in? You want to throw in Chris Algieri and Lamont Peterson? You want to throw in, he had ample amount of time to establish what lane he was going to be in. Ample amount of time. It's his fault that it took him this long. It's Errol Spence's fault. I don't care what he wear into the fight. I just care what he's saying at the fight. He can wear all he wants to. He can wear the hat he want to wear. I don't give a fuck about none of that. All I'm saying is when Bud Crawford showed up to the fight, Errol Spence said some shit like, I don't know why he showed up to the fight. He said he didn't need me for his legacy. Why he's showing up? Because motherfucking boxing, nigga. That's why he showed up. It's boxing. He's showing up to let you know that I'm in the building. If you choose to want to call him out and build up the fight the right way, then do it. Why you gonna sit up here and be petty about it and say, well, I don't know why Terrence Crawford didn't show up to the fight. I'm not looking for him. He showed up to the fight to let you know he was in the building like Terrence Crawford do. That's what he did. He showed up to see what you had to say in the aftermath. But yet, Errol Spence goes up here and calls out, and after the commentator asked him, when will we see the fight between you and Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence sit up here and bring up Canelo Alvarez. Oh my God. Errol Spence brings up Canelo Alvarez out of nowhere. Motherfucker been having 2 pennies in his pocket, and Errol Spence brings up Canelo Alvarez, y'all. Out of nowhere. I really wanted that fight with Canelo Alvarez. Goddamn, proper planning prevents piss poor performance. And somebody should have got with Errol Spence and say, God damn it, don't get on TV saying some dumb shit. Seriously, don't get up, don't bring your ass up here saying some dumb shit, Errol. All the P's. Proper planning prevents piss poor performance. Who the fuck told Errol Spence to call out Canelo Alvarez? He wasn't looking for Errol Spence. Canelo will goddamn give Errol Spence the business. I don't give a fuck what weight class you fought at before. Errol Spence stepped his ass up there at 160 and he will get lit up, period. You want to talk about a fight that's too small to fuck with Canelo? Errol Spence is. Even Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford too small to fuck with Canelo right now. Canelo is acclimated to the higher divisions, and he's won. Y'all motherfuckers need to realize and stop just thinking about, well, I really don't want to show Canelo no love because he popped off clenbuterol, which was a cutting agent. He did this and that. Understand one thing on how I look at the sport of boxing. I never look at the sport of boxing as being a perfect sport. It's a lot. It's a lot of damage that happened in the sport of boxing. It's a lot of damage that happened to these fighters. That's why 1 minute, as media, I might talk to a fighter and it's all good. And then the next time I see them, they might have an attitude about some shit. They're getting punched in the head, and the people that never go to fights or never grew up around the sport, they wouldn't know that shit. That's the fucked up thing about boxing. That's just the fucked up thing about boxing. But Errol Spence needs to check with his people before he gets in front of the microphone. Y'all didn't even see a mirror before you left the house. God damn. Some messages such as potential spam may not be visible. Trick Noty in the building. What's good? Now understand, I'm trying to read some of the comments, but I am on my phone, my vehicle. I rarely do lives on my vehicle, but Mitch, Mike, Danny, and Porter are very respectable fighters in my book. However, I think Crawford would beat those guys. As well as I also think those three guys will run through Crawford opponents, though. Now understand this, people. Check this out, though. I want y'all to understand something about boxing. Boxing is always going to have individuals outside of the sport competitively that criticize the boxers, and they criticize the sport itself. It's always going to be like that, right? That goes for any combat sport. We're talking about boxing right now, right? Furthermore, like I said before, you're never going to have a whole lineup 1 through 10 of killers, and then you look at a fight and say why they ain't fought, why they ain't fought, why they ain't fought. Boxing is always and forever will be a business first. So we're always going to be disappointed on the fighters not fighting one another. It's always going to be that way because business. But then again, myself, I'll speak for myself. I will give my opinion on certain situations that I feel that I qualify to speak on. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, I respect both of the fighters. You know what I'm saying? But my scrutiny that's placed on Errol Spence is the fact that about 18 fights, it took you to figure out you wanted to be a welterweight, right? I don't give a fuck about no boogeyman shit. I don't give a fuck about none of that. It took you 18 fights to figure out that you wanted to contend in damn welterweight. So then you got motherfuckers that's sitting up here saying, well, you fought Chris Algieri, Lamont Peterson, and all these other cats, but really trying to tie the knot to say, well, he went over in Kell Brook's backyard and fought him for the title. Cool, I congratulate you for that. I congratulate you for that. But he hasn't fought Keith Thurman. He hasn't fought Manny Pacquiao. He hasn't fought Terrence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? Finally, he comes around to fight Sean Porter, which was a damn good fight, and give it up to Errol Spence. Styles make fights. He was able to take advantage of a small window of opportunity that fragmented Sean Porter's style and caught him with that left hook in 11. I have no, hey, that's motherfucking boxing IQ right there. I give him all the props in the world for that shit. But not without that knockdown, we might see Sean Porter retain that title. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Then he goes out and have an accident, comes back, and once again, people celebrating him for fighting Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia, the same Mikey Garcia who still has Wall Street in boxing, just off a name alone. Who a guy who is in the same position as Sean Porter, who stepped in there with the big names, but have failed. He fought Robert Guerrero for the vacant WBC welterweight title and lost it to Keith Thurman. It's absolutely factual. So therefore, you got Mikey Garcia, who lost to Keith Thurman, lost to Errol Spence, Mikey Garcia knocking out Brandon Rios, Mikey Garcia knocking out Adrian Granados. Who cares? Who cares? He left out of there with Errol Spence, worse condition than Mikey Garcia, y'all. And y'all sit up here praising him for facing Danny Garcia? Danny Garcia is used to coming in second place, bro, in the welterweight division. He has not defeated one single champion in the welterweight division. Sean Porter had his belt taken by Kell Brook. I mean, come on, man. Y'all know the history. Y'all know the history. He had his belt taken by Kell Brook. Lost to Keith Thurman. Come around and fought for the vacate with Danny Garcia. Loses his belt to another big name in Errol Spence. And y'all saying that Errol Spence is motherfucking great? I mean, come on, man. What are y'all sipping on? Send me some of that shit. Let me give you my mailing address so I can sip on what you sipping. Y'all hate the fuck out of Crawford, but Crawford goddamn give Errol Spence the absolute business, for real. Know that I told you that. Roy Jones Jr. said it best. You know, I'm not at my PC right now, but he said the one that has the most dog in that welterweight division is Terrence Bud Crawford. That's what Roy Jones said. I know people are upset. That's what Roy Jones said. The motherfucking dog in that bitch is Terrence Bud Crawford. What are we saying though? What are we saying when we're looking at the top 10? The welterweight division is not a deep division, first and foremost. It's not a division that runs deep with quality opposition that we can say, damn, all these motherfuckers should be on the top pound for pound. You have two individuals on the top pound for pound. Now somebody explain this shit to me. Why do we have so many messengers that'll sit up here and say, well, even Errol Spence said this bullshit. He said, I'm the best welterweight. But then Crawford is in front of you on the pound for pound list. It's not one pound for pound list that Crawford's not in front of Errol Spence. So what in the fuck does it matter if you're the best welterweight? What is more encompassing? The pound for pound list overall or a single division? What is more encompassing? 147 or the pound for pound list? Terrence Crawford in front of Errol Spence on the pound for pound list. But yet Errol's talking about I'm the best welterweight. Nigga, why you keep talking about the best welterweight? You need to understand what the pound for pound list is. You are on the pound for pound list there, Errol Spence. You are on the pound for pound list behind Terrence Crawford. Not only that, you're not even directly behind Terrence Crawford. You have a body in front of you. A body that doesn't even have any world titles in their possession. Now that should piss you off. That should get you on the phone, Spence, and say, hey, how do I get closer to Terrence Crawford? How do I get closer? How? Somebody tell me, how can I move my name? This ain't BoxRec, nigga. This is not BoxRec. Somebody explain to Errol Spence that he has a body in front of him on the pound for pound list while he's sitting up here talking about he's the best welterweight. And for those Bud Crawford haters that's mad that he said that shit about Canelo, man, goddamn, suck that shit up, man. Don't be mad. Suck that shit up. Stop being a baby. You know he's had problem with certain black fighters. Come on, man. Don't act like this is the first time you ever heard that shit. But just because Terrence Crawford says it, everybody want to run with it because they want to find more reasons to hate on Bud and dislike Bud. At the end of the day, Bud Crawford's career supersedes that of Errol Spence at this moment. Seriously. And like I will repeat again, Errol Spence is the one that said he was on the verge of unifying the welterweight division. That's what Errol Spence said. Terrence Crawford didn't say that. I'd like to see Danny fight Virgil Ortiz, but he said he's moving up to super welterweight. Politics play a major role too. Of course they do. I agree. Of course. Coach Chris in the building. What's good? Is Troy in here with his Justice League? With his Justice League of Canelo cape. Hey, Coach. I don't know what he had, man, but you know, I'm not gonna mention his name because dude been trolling. He's been on my highway lately, acting like a motherfucking fan. I don't know, man. He really want to get on here and talk about Deontay Wilder, but that's another story. But let me get back to Danny Garcia. Someone mentioned Danny Garcia moving up to 54. Once again, a Latino fighter doing something that a lot of black fighters refuse to do. And I know everybody's going to have their own say-so. They're going to say, well, this don't have... No, listen to me. Look at these fighters that's making names and freaking making waves and bringing that attention to them. Danny Garcia moving up to 154 is ill-advised in my opinion. Danny Garcia is willing to say, you know what, in my career, while I still have value to my brand, I'm going to move up to 154. We're talking about the same Danny Garcia that had the brakes beat off of him with Errol Spence, right? He's going to move up the down junior middleweight and get the brakes beat off of him again. But see, Danny Garcia has shown that he has a chin. So with that chin, he's taking it up to 54 and getting another paycheck. Is it smart? He's taking a risk, man. What other welterweight in the past year that's willing to do what Danny Garcia is about to do? Seriously. It's not Sean Porter. Sean Porter fought at a heavier weight at amateur. He had like he only want to move up. Errol Spence, he fought at a higher weight. He had like he's scared to move up. Keith Thurman, he ain't thinking about moving up. Not even thinking about it. I've heard, rumors here and there that Bud Crawford may believe in within himself to take that step up. I would like to see that. I hope that is indeed true. Because believe it or not, win or lose, Bud Crawford's career is not going to be affected like that. Like, black people in general, black boxing fans, I'm speaking specifically to you all. You have to stop being so critical and saying you're a true boxing fan, but yet y'all motherfuckers taking out the lawnmower and running it over the back of black fighters time they pick up one loss. But yet a European fighter and Hispanic fighter, y'all ass up here praising them for taking one loss, talking about, hey, they step up and took risk. They took risk, y'all. They took risk. You got to praise them for that. But a black fighter do it, y'all up here talking about, well, they wasn't ready to move up. They wasn't ready to move up. They shouldn't have made that decision. That was a bad move. They done. Their career is over. And check this out. Even if the fighter is in the UK, Russia, that's the same shade as myself, more so the UK, okay? Motherfuckers that get up here and say the same shit. Oh, he tried. He left it all in the ring. Why y'all being so harsh on him? There's a mental block going on when it comes to true bona fide U.S. fight fans. There's a mental block. That's a motherfucking mental block. You have motherfuckers praising Danny Garcia for moving up to 154, coming off a loss, but yet I hear the same motherfucking violin music for Terrence Crawford, who's undefeated at welterweight, He say he's moving up to 154. Oh shit. See? Terrence Crawford ducking Spence. Terrence Crawford running away to 154. Terrence Crawford say, I don't care about that fight anymore. He's ducking. Terrence Crawford ain't ducking. Terrence Crawford ain't ducking the Errol Spence. Come on, let's be realistic. Let's be realistic, man. Y'all sitting up here will say Terrence Crawford running to 54 to avoid Errol Spence. How close, really, are they to fighting? How close is Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence? They ain't motherfucking close. They're as close as me putting my hand in the air and grabbing a motherfucking star out the sky and say, look at this. Now that right there is some drip. Let me put this shit on my motherfucking necklace because that right there is going to shine forever. That ain't fucking happening. Y'all trying to say Terrence Crawford avoiding Errol Spence by moving up to 154. But yeah, Errol Spence has to fight for the WBA belt or Terrence Crawford. And then the first thing you hear out of Errol Spence's mouth, if he even has the opportunity to do it, is, if I get this third belt, we'll see who don't want the fight. We'll see who don't want what fight. I'm saying to myself, nigga, you continue to talk about numbers. If Errol Spence don't have himself in front of the mic, I swear to God, the only other fight I said should get permission before they open their mouth in front of the microphone is Anthony Joshua. Second is Errol Spence. Because if fans was trying to get motivated to see Spence versus Crawford, Spence is just tearing that shit apart. He's tearing it apart. He ain't doing shit that's healthy. He just keep on deterring fans from tuning in. Well, I'm gonna make sure he get 80-20, 70-30. Like, nigga, you acting like you loopy. We want to hear shit that makes sense. I understand with boxing, you're gonna have boxers that talk shit. You're gonna have individuals that take media and, you know, put us on the motherfucking fish line, throw that bait out there, and see how we bite. See what the fans talk about. That's just like one of the common laws of media. You know, not everything is gonna be solid. They're gonna throw the bait out there, and that doesn't mean, you know, the shit's gonna be official. Sometimes they just put it out there to see how interested the public is. But if every time Errol Spence jumps in front of the mic and he says something stupid about him and Terrence Crawford fighting, well, the fans like myself is just not gonna say, hey, I don't have shit to do with that no more. I'm gonna be like Crawford. I commend Crawford for what he did. I commend him. I commend him. They said, you have a lot of Canelo fans over here. They said Canelo ducking black fighters. I never said he was ducking black fighters. I say he had problems with black fighters. I can understand you might be going off Terrence Crawford and what his comments was. But listen, that conversation is going to come up because it's seriously warranted. Raider, that the conversation is warranted. You know how it's warranted, Raider? LA Boxing, you know how it's warranted? Because you cannot come on WCS and say it's funny and trying to act like it's a pseudology, it's a false language when Canelo said he wasn't fighting any more Mexicans. That's Canelo. Look, I have to agree with Canelo, God damn it. Over half of your fights was in Mexico. ¿Te entiendes, amigo? Over half of your fights was in Mexico. So Raider, if you come in here and saying that he's ducking black fighters, he said he didn't want to fight motherfucking any more Mexicans. And the only black fighter he's fought in quite some time is Daniel Jacobs. Daniel Jacobs. But as far as what Crawford is referring to is the tough names. Like he could have fought at 160. The Jamal Charlos and Demetrius Andrade. We have to hold him accountable for facing Gennady Golovkin and not Jamal Charlo and Demetrius Andrade. Two fighters who a lot of people will say they don't have that esteemed popularity, but yet and still they are champions in the 160-pound division, the middleweight division. Canelo Alvarez chose to become franchise, petition it, and move the fuck on. But who has he fought since then? European fighters. He fought Rocky Fielding. He fought Sergey Kovalov. Then he dropped back down to fight Callum Smith. Then he fought Abney Yildirim. All right, the list goes on. He about to fight the gypsy Billy Joe Saunders. The list goes on. Now in September, he may potentially, if everything works out, fight Caleb Plant. Where are the brothers? So don't sit up here and criticize like Terrence Crawford is talking a freaking unknown language. It's not an unknown language. It's just the fact that motherfuckers trying to, I don't want to hear that. They trying to block that shit out. I don't agree with that. People just find anything to hate on when you're on top of the game. That's all. Well, Alex, I'm not sure if hate is the right action to insert in it, especially this conversation. Too many times people use hate when it's just an opinion. Some people say it's hate when it's just an opinion. That's all it is. Charlie and Boo Boo have not fought anybody. He aced out Triple G on the top. Let me see. He aged out Triple G on top. Triple G was asking him to fight before Daniel Jacobs. Charlo only one good fight. Can y'all do me a favor? Like really, can you do me this favor? Can you listen when I'm telling you? Seriously, understand one thing. All respect. Can you listen to what I'm telling you? Just listen. I told you earlier that the numeric scale of 1 through 10 in which people grade fighters in their ranking system is something that's simulated over time. We don't have to grade them. We could have did 1 through 7 of the most valuable fighters. Really, the toughest fighters is on the damn ranking system is 1 through 5. But they provide you a larger scale so you could just have that in your thought process. Like, man, they have a lot of fighters 1 through 10. And they also give fighters the opportunity to be a part of something if they're competing in boxing. Oh, let me move you in the top 10. Fighters feel good. I'm in the top 10. I'm ranked in the top 10. What if it was just to be 1 through 5? Fighters would be fighting to get to the 5th position. They'll be saying, oh, you should, man, they should open that up to 10, man. 1 through 5 isn't enough because so-and-so, he fought this person and that person. So now, what I'm trying to tell you all is, you keep on saying they haven't fought anybody. But yet, once again, people was praising Canelo for losing to Floyd Mayweather. You say they haven't fought anybody, and I've criticized, I said this to black fighters, okay, stop chasing Canelo, fight other fights, right? But no, I'm gonna keep it lined up. I'm gonna keep it in the optics, right? I'm gonna keep it in the crosshairs. This is something you need to understand about that. If Canelo Alvarez was at one point in time the unified champion in middleweight, was he not? Was he not? Was he not? Was he not? So therefore, if he was at one point in time the unified champion middleweight, why couldn't he fight Jamal Charlo and Demetrius Andrade? You can't sit up here and say Jamal Charlo and Demetrius haven't fought nobody. They wanted to fight the man. How are you going to say, okay, I'm the man, I'm the cash cow, but yet the people that's calling me out, they don't deserve to fight me until they fight somebody. They trying to fight you. They trying to fight your ass. We're talking about Demetrius Andrade, the 2-division champion. Jamal Charlo, a 2-division champion. What the fuck are you talking about? Are y'all watching boxing yesterday? What the fuck are you talking about? How many divisions do you have to be? How many credentials and badges do you have to your name for people to stop saying, who have they fought? It's always going to be like that because the sport of boxing does not have a numeric list of 1 through 10 of straight up killers. We're not talking about the killers on the street. We're talking about killers in the sport of boxing. If we had killers from 1 through 10, it'll be more belts. Because the names 1 through 10 to be out there. People wouldn't know who to choose from. They say, damn, this boxer good, that boxer good, this boxer good. What the fuck? Who do we, man, that guy that's ranked 8 can beat number 1 if they give him the opportunity. You ever heard that shit? Man, so-and-so down here, I know he can beat so-and-so up there in the top 2. I know. If given the opportunity, that's all he have to do. He can beat him. But you do not have a full lineup of killers in any division in boxing, man. Y'all need to stop talking about who have they fought. Like y'all lacing up. Like y'all have a resume. What's your motherfucking record? Who have y'all fought? It's about who have they fought. They're 2 division champions. Jabal Charlo, 2 division champion. Demetrius Andrade, 2 division champion. What the fuck are you talking about? So therefore, you should take away the light heavyweight division with Canelo Alvarez, right? You should take that shit away, right? Because y'all was saying that Kovalev was over the hill. So you should exclude that. That don't count. Let's just change that shit on BoxRec. Let's just exclude that. How many divisions do Canelo have? Take away the light heavyweight division. How many divisions do he have? How many? Does he have 1 or 2 more than Maul Charlo and Demetrius Andrade? So therefore, how can you sit up here and say that they haven't fought anybody? Stop, man. Stop. Y'all tripping. Y'all set tripping. Charlo only 1 good fight in Chinko. Listen, I understand where you're coming from with Charlo only having 1 good fight in Chinko. Alright? I understand. But then Daniel Jacobs just fight Canelo Alvarez? Right? How do we look at Daniel Jacobs' performances? Did he not lose to Gennady Golovkin, who fought Canelo? Did that prevent Daniel Jacobs from getting a fight with Canelo Alvarez? He lost. He lost to Gennady Golovkin. He lost. Did that prevent Daniel Jacobs from getting a fight with Canelo Alvarez? So you trying to say since Canelo Alvarez beat that ass or went to a draw and then defeated Gennady Golovkin, it was okay for Daniel Jacobs to get a fight because he stepped in there with Gennady earlier, right? Help me understand on this Wednesday. Help me understand. The same Daniel Jacobs that just fought Gabe Rosado. Am I hearing this right, y'all? Let me get to some of these comments. All I want is undisputed any weight class, which I'm just asking for half of what, let me see, half of what already done and in the history books. I hear what you're saying, Sir Ken. Raider, because Canelo fought the best 160 at that time. Raider, you being simple-minded. Seriously. You want to take Gennady Golovkin and being the best at that time, like you're picking one fighter out of many to say that's all he needs to fight. In that case, fighters would be fighting once a year. If they use your freaking illogic, they'd be fighting once a year. Same BS with Devin Haney fanboys saying ducking the favorite fighter. Canelo didn't fight anyone to deserve the Mayweather fight, but they bring that up. Jacobs was the champ. Triple G resume is trash. Trash water. All boxers fight lower level boxers early in their career. All that matters is that the boxer fighting the best. Triple G wasn't fight nobody. 160 was trash. Ward told him move up, and he was scared. So basically, Jacob was the champ. Who cares what Jacobs was? Who cares? Raider, do you have headphones on and they're not plugged in to listen to what I'm telling you, bro? Do you have a tip of a goddamn cotton ball, a Q-tip enlarged in both ears? My point in making that analogy was that Daniel Jacobs faced Gennady Golovkin. I don't give a fuck if he was champion. I'm saying he faced Gennady Golovkin and lost, right? He lost. And he was dropped in that fight. He lost. But he made it to the final bell, right? My point in making that reference is the fact that you all continues to say they ain't fought nobody, they ain't fought this, they ain't fought that. Like, you need that to fight the one that's on top. What would Daniel Jacobs being a champion at that time at Gennady Golovkin, he failed to win. But that didn't stop him with that loss on his record to face a fighter that Canelo Alvarez has defeated also in his career. Gennady Golovkin. Canelo Alvarez defeated Gennady Golovkin, but Daniel Jacobs didn't. But Daniel Jacobs still was able to get the fight with Canelo Alvarez. Why? Because Canelo probably thought he was a soft touch. He probably didn't have no fear. He said, okay, I get Daniel Jacobs. No, he's a good guy. I give Daniel Jacobs a shot. But I'm saying that's not the same. Y'all need to understand that's not the same. You all acting like Jamal Charlo and Demetrius Andrade need to go up here and fight competition that's not there. Like, if they fight beneath them in the ranking system, is that going to move them any closer to fight Canelo, who isn't campaigning at middleweight? He's campaigning at super middleweight. So if they was to fight a Tim Tszyu, a Sebastian Fundora, Erickson Lubin, any of them fighters that's right there, that's coming up through the ranks, how does fighting below you increase your Wall Street to fight above you? How does that work? Don't you always have to increase for progression? So how in the fuck you find somebody that's ranked number 6 in your division, you know what I'm saying, in your sanctioned body, you fight them, and that's going to move you a step closer to Canelo. If you already champion, either you fight another champion or you goddamn call out the one that you want to talk business with. That's going to look good on your credentials. That's Canelo Alvarez. An individual that moved up his franchise and then aborted mission in the middleweight division. Are y'all not understanding how that works? Why in the fuck would champions that you say haven't fought anybody, why would it behoove them to fight somebody below them as if that's going to elevate their stature to move up and fight somebody in the good graces of Canelo Alvarez? Wouldn't they earn a little bit more recognition if they fought another champion? I've said this before. Fight Triple G. Fight Billy. You know, I'm just combining these fight Triple G. Fight Demetrius Andrade. You know, fight Yoda Murata. All them motherfuckers. Triple G versus Canelo wasn't a big fight. As HBO, they admitted they overhauled that fight, overvalued that fight. It was a big fight, bro. It was a big fight. I will not believe that shit right there. It was a big fight. To boxing, that was a big fight. Now, big in a sense, on the grand scale of how people perceive what is big and what isn't. I mean, it's going to change of the popularity. Who's more popular? Period. If you are the best, challenge yourself to fight the best on your division. You don't vacate belts like how Canelo did and run from the other world champions. To all fighters out there, where's undisputed for the fans? I agree. Where is it? There's no need to answer who's the best fighter at 160. It's irrelevant. Jacobs was never the best anywhere. Used to be a solid fighter though. Rated is I definitely wasn't a Triple G. Would never fought any. Wasn't Triple G. Would never fought any top boxer at that time. Tell Canelo or Triple G to stop vacating world titles to avoid fighting young black boxers who are world champs. King, exactly. Jacobs was only a solid boxer, nothing special. Triple G and Canelo were top fighters when they fought. I give them that. J8 say brother Danny Jacobs had been knocked out. Best by Triple G, damn near lost to Sergey. Okay, good point. To caveat what Jay said, right? I know I read a lot of comments, but check this out. Why did Danny Jacobs, why was he able to get the fight with Canelo Alvarez? Was he the top in his division at 168? Be clear. Was Daniel Jacobs the top when he fought Canelo Alvarez? Please enlighten me. Was he or was he not? So therefore, if people once again are mad what Crawford said, Crawford is only telling you that Jamal Charlo, in a sense, and Demetrius Andrade at 160 would have been a tougher fight than Daniel Jacobs at 168. And just like somebody else said in the previous comment, they mentioned, why did Canelo Alvarez vacate the titles? Now look, it's gonna be people out here saying, oh, well, he can do what he want. No. It's to a point where he can do what he want. If he was a unified champion at 160, why he didn't try to challenge himself and fight some other names? It's a double-edged sword, because the way I look at it is that Canelo was able to unify the division partially, right? Then with that said, if he felt that he can do what he wanted that time, which people probably telling him, man, move up to 168. A lot of soft ass motherfuckers up there. This will give you opportunity to add divisions to your repertoire. Go ahead. I tell you who you fight first. Go fight that nigga Rocky Fielding. Soft touch. Go ahead, Canelo. See? Okay? Alright. Sign the fight. He went out there and knocked out Rocky Fielding in the third round with a body shot. Now, anybody who saw that fight with Rocky Fielding, do you think the same thing would have happened to a Jamal Charlo or Demetrius Andrade at 160? It sure enough didn't happen to Gennady Golovkin, who was 35 years old when they first fought, like they was mentioned, right? I'm just saying. Do you think he would have knocked out Jamal Charlo with a body shot? Do you think he would have did that to Demetrius Andrade? A lot of petty individuals say, well, we don't know because he didn't fight. But I'm telling you, do you think he would have did it? It's a reason why Canelo moved up. It's a reason why we can sit up here and count what makes sense about what Terrence Crawford said. We can sit up here and count the fighters, man. See, it's a hard place right now to convince fight fans to feel that they have a valid point about Canelo Alvarez. Because Canelo Alvarez is a cash cow. He's a top pound for pound. And goddamn it, to be honest, he can do what the fuck he want to do. But did he vacate the middleweight division? Yes. He vacated the middleweight division. Was there work still to be done at the middleweight division before he vacated? Absolutely it was. Absolutely it was. It was still work for him to be done with Canelo Alvarez, but he moved up. He petitioned for the franchise and shit that wasn't even in existence. He already knew the franchise belt was coming out, so he franchised himself so he wouldn't have to face freaking Mauro Charlo, and then start traveling. Same shit damn Vasyl Lomachenko did. He got up out of there. But at the end of the day, y'all need to understand how things work in boxing. It's always going to be a business, and it's always going to be disappointment. Because with business, you're not going to get what you want. You're going to get some of what you want. You're not going to get all of what you want. That's how fucked up business is. It's going to be something, a little bit of what you want, but not all of what you want. That's just boxing. It's a business. Motherfuckers with different promotions. People want money this, money that. And you saying to yourself, y'all rank this place, that position right there. Why don't y'all fight? And boxers up here saying, you know, I got to get paid, man. I got to get paid. I ain't just fighting for shit. I got to get paid. That's real. Canelo is one of the few fighters who had the ability to actually choose their opponents. So when he doesn't fight certain guys, it falls back on him solely. I partially agree with that. Okay, Mitch, I partially agree with that. I mean, that's what I said, you know, kind of earlier. Like Canelo Alvarez, he's the cash cow. The motherfucker can pick and choose right now. People have to get out of this now type of mentality. Like, I'm speaking about what somebody did now. No, in boxing, always remember, a fighter's record, which accumulates from his first fight up to the current, is what we all look at and assess. It's not what they've done now to a point of determining their entire career. It's all of what they have amassed through their career, all the way up to down, and then we can talk about it. We can't just talk about who has he fought in the last 3 fights. The only way that conversation is going to come up is when we're trying to compare them or place them in a position to fight another fighter. They say, well, he fought this fighter, he need to fight that fighter. And that's what people say about Canelo Alvarez. It was still work to be done in the middleweight division, but he was such at a point of hierarchy. He said, I do what the fuck I want. I'm not worried about y'all. I do what the fuck I want. I do what the fuck I want to do. So if y'all want to fight me, do something to pique my interest. Do something to make me say, okay, shit, all right, I respect that. I see you. I see you. All right. I mean, the reason why he fought Daniel Jacobs is because that was an easy fight, dog. It was another motherfucking win on his record. He did not think for once heading in there with Danny Garcia that it was going to be any trouble. No. Y'all can talk about Jamal Charlo fighting Sergey Derevyanchenko. Okay. I get it. I get it. But you know, was he not the mandatory? I mean, they fight who they fight, man. So y'all gonna have to figure it out. Y'all got to figure it out for real. This is boxing, y'all. Full of disappointment. Full of corruption. Full of a roller coaster ride with no seatbelt. That's boxing. Seriously. That's always going to be the sport of boxing, man. Don't ever believe that you're watching a sport and the individuals that's in it were groomed to do this since day one. They're not. You have fighters who come in from all walks of life at different ages, and you're going to get different attitudes, behavior, mannerisms, different bravado, all that shit. Don't ever sit up here and judge a fighter because of the way they act and what they're doing. I can't really knock Canelo for what he's doing. He's at the hierarchy right now. Can I call bullshit on him fighting some of the other fights that would have been competitive? Yes, I can, because if you're at a hierarchy and you don't have any other quality opposition to fight, well, if you're rotating and moving divisions, try to return back down to the division you can make the weight and fight a high-ranking fighter, a champion. That's what he's been doing, right? That's Canelo's MO. Fight a champion. Not talking about Abner Yildirim. Canelo's fight a champion. So why can't you go back down to 160 and say, you know what? Everybody's talking about it. Like they was talking about Gennady Golovkin. Everybody's talking about it. Let me fight Jamal Charlo. At least Jamal Charlo. At least. Let me fight Jamal Charlo. Let me shut everybody up. But Canelo, I think at a point right now, royalty. You know, the motherfucker probably feel that he don't have to sit up here and give people opportunities unless he feel that they are well-deserved. I hate using that deserve word, but Canelo mentality at this point say, what do I get? ¿Cuánto cuesta, amigo? How much? What do I get? How does this benefit Team Canelo? I'm not going to fight anybody. I'm saying Canelo is at a point right now, man. A part of me frown on him not fighting certain fighters that I know that'll be a tough competition. Like when he fought the Arizona Lauras, you know what I'm saying? And then a part of me says other individuals in boxing need to try to put themselves in the position of Canelo Alvarez. It's not going to be as easy, but it has to be done, y'all. But yeah, y'all stay tuned, man. Oh, it's a lot of shit that's going down. Oh, man. I'm about to bounce, man. Once again, I want to give a shout out to Michael Williams Jr. Picked up his 17th victory. And to all his haters, I understand one thing once again. That everybody elevates and feel their, let me see how you put it. Everybody builds their record differently. You have individuals who are with promotions and who are independent. Boxing will always be that way. Boxers will always build a record differently. It's always going to be like that, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So don't frown on a young line that's 21 years old, is out here fighting competition they can afford. You know what I'm saying? Just be grateful and tune in and support and follow him on IG. You know what I'm saying? Follow Michael Williams Jr. You know what I'm saying? 150 on IG, man. Team Williams Jr. Until then, man, y'all turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports, man. Till next time. And tell Errol Spence to stay his ass off the microphone. He don't have permission to be on this motherfucker. But I appreciate everyone for pulling up.